Hi guys, and welcome to this video tutorial. And here I'm just showing you that everything's all primed. I use the Vallejo urethane grey primer on the shadow sword there. Okay, I'm going to be using a base coat colour of Cayman green, which is the equivalent of GW's Catachin green. And what I'm trying to illustrate here is how I thin the paints. Now, I do use Vallejo model air thinner, but as many people on YouTube, like Utrink 3D Paratus and other people do, they actually use a cheaper alternative, which I've tried myself, which is as you can see in that bottle there, is Windoline. That's not the Windoline bottle. I just put it in a much more convenient bottle, but you can pick it up in the UK from pretty much any supermarket for about £1, so it's a hell of a lot cheaper, about 1/7 of the price of Vallejo thinner. And it actually works really well. You can see here what I'm doing is I'm really making sure that I mix it thoroughly. You don't want any lumps of pigment from the original paint, because obviously it'll clog up on the airbrush. And what I also would recommend, if anyone's actually going to get an airbrush, never ever hit the airbrush straight on the model first. Do a couple of test runs on some blank paper. Yeah, you're going to waste a tiny bit of paint, but it's much better than getting a big splat of paint hitting on your expensive model. Okay, and what I'd also like to say is that I'll probably thin my paints thinner than I actually need to, and you know, I'll probably have to give the tank a couple of coats, but I'd much rather have the paints thinner than I need to and give the paint a couple of coats than have it the other way around when you have problems with your needle clogging and you have to keep cleaning it, or worst case scenario, you really clog the airbrush up and then you've got to, you know, thoroughly clean it out with airbrush cleaner, or you know, it's too thick and you start getting like build-ups of little pigment speckles on the model there. So there's no need to rush. I mean, especially when you're using the airbrush, things go quick anyway, so you know, just making sure that paint's just, you know, thin, you know, those 2 coats go pretty quick anyway. And yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people out there that don't actually prime the models before they actually spray them, and which is fine, but I find that to get a really nice finish, I think priming is the way to go. You get that really nice tooth. What do I mean by that? It's a really nice dry finish, smooth matte finish to the model once you've primed it, that really lends itself well to the paint. You don't get, obviously, if you just paint onto the naked plastic, if you like, there. And as you can see, I'm using really high PSI here. I'm talking about 35 PSI, because obviously I don't need to be careful of where the paint's hitting. I just want a nice, even, quick base colour going down. So that's why I'm using the high PSI. I mean, people could argue that you probably you know, might waste a bit of paint, but you're never going to be wasting too much paint when the paint goes down so thin and so smooth. So that's why I choose that method. And you'll also notice that I'm trying to make sure that the paint's actually dry, so you'll see that on one side of the tank there that the paint looks a bit thin, but again, you know, it took a couple of coats. Right now, unfortunately, I've skipped a step where I actually highlighted the whole tank using camo green, which is GW's camouflage green, and basically I went around the whole tank and highlighted pretty much everywhere with that camouflage or camo green in the Vallejo game color range. And so I did that, and unfortunately I've not got decent footage of that, so I've gone straight onto the pin washing stage. Now the whole model's been gloss varnished using Vallejo's gloss varnish, and the reason for that is when you actually add the wash, the paint will only want to adhere to the circumference of whatever you touch. It's basically the capillary action of the brush. You'll see it here. I mean, I'm not explaining myself quite right, to be honest, but you'll see actually what happens here. I mix my own washes because obviously using Bad Black it could be quite costly, especially on something like this. You'd probably use at least half a tub of Bad Black wash, but using the glaze medium with even amounts of glaze medium to paint, and then probably a 10:1 ratio of water will get you the right amount. But using those white plastic cups is perfect because you can actually see the consistency of the paint inside the actual plastic cup, so they're actually the perfect thing to practice the actual flow of the paint that you've mixed. Okay, and what you actually see me doing on camera is just ever so slightly just touching the rivet, and the paint sucks off the brush tip right around the rivet head there. And you can see I'm not actually painting around the rivet. The actual capillary action of the brush in combination with the gloss varnish and the wash that I actually mixed is doing all the work for me. And yeah, I'm not going to lie, it's a very time consuming thing to do, but as regards to skill and technique, it's very basic. Anyone can do this. But again, as I say, it is very time consuming, especially on a shadow sword when you've got, you know, hundreds and hundreds of rivets. But the end result, I think, speaks for itself. It's, you know, you get out what you put in, basically. So yeah, and what I also was probably showing right at the start, where there was like the big around I don't know what it is, like a, you could say like a bolt that goes through the top of that gun mount there. I'm using my fingers to actually wipe some of the wash away, and because of the gloss varnish in combination with how I've made my own wash there with the glaze medium, it takes quite a while to dry. So if you do make any mistakes, you can very easily wipe away the excess wash. So there's so many benefits to actually doing this technique. It's hard to go wrong, really. If you make a wrong mistake, well, you just, you know, wipe it away, really. Okay, and you'll probably see on some of these rivets that I've loaded the brush with a little bit too much wash there, and I think off camera I actually dry off the brush and I recollect some of that excess wash with the brush. Again, it's such a forgiving technique that anyone can use it. I mean, like that rivet that was just painted there, that got way too much wash. Okay, you'll see that I've put decals on there. I used decal setting solutions, microsol and microset. If you look through some of my really old videos, you'll see how I applied those. But what I wanted to highlight here is the use of Vallejo's alcohol based metallics. Now these in my opinion are the most realistic metallics I have ever used and ever seen, and obviously I've used quite a few different ranges, but they're suitable for certain tasks but not for others. What I mean by that is the properties are so reflective. They really do reflect like the real life counterparts. Like this is silver, and obviously the camera probably doesn't pick up what it looks like in reality, but in reality it is a super reflective finish. So you wouldn't want to paint your tank treads in that sort of thing, but when you want to paint badges or things that you want to look very precious and reflective, yeah, you really can't beat this. Well, in my experience, until I find the next greatest and best thing, these are perfect. But what I do have to note, you can't just go out there and buy these alcoholic base metallics without getting some other things along with it. You'll definitely need isopropanol or rubbing alcohol. What that basically allows you to do is to thin the paint, because you can't use water, it just will not work. And more importantly, rather than just thinning it, you will not be able to clean your brushes without that. Water just will not get rid of the paint from the brush there. You'll need to buy some isopropanol for that purpose. Okay, here you see that I'm not a big fan of GW's metallics. This is just personal preference, and I actually really like the Model Air metallics. Now, the Model Air steel and aluminium and many of the colours in the range are brilliant, but they're gunmetals. I'm not a big fan of that. I don't like it, so I try and mix my own. What I haven't showed you on this part is I'd normally probably add a drop of black paint to that mix, just to darken it up a bit. But as you see, I'm using an old brush there, which is quite important. You don't want to ruin your decent brushes mixing around that sort of amount of paint there into the ferrule. But as you can see, it started to darken up. And the reason why I'm showing you why I use these is the coverage on what you're going to see on this main weapon of the shadow sword here. And as you see, as I'm painting the barrel, you'll see I'm going over the white and the green. It's pretty much one coat coverage that's super thin and super smooth. And you can see as it's going around there, it's pretty much perfect. Now, you'd really struggle using your normal GW paints to get that same sort of coverage, as thin and as neat in one sort of coat. Now obviously with the Model Air colours, using the normal ones for painting, it doesn't work the same unfortunately as the metallics. Don't get me wrong, some of the Model Air colours can be painted straight out of the bottle onto miniature without an airbrush, but many in the range don't work too well when you're actually painting with a brush. But the metallics, no, that's a different story. They're really nice to use with a brush. And as you can see, I mean, I have a few expensive brushes, but to be honest, I used a brush that's best for the job at hand. And here I'm just using a cheap brush that's got a really nice thick tip, so I can load up the brush and paint larger areas. Excuse me. Basically, the use of those colours is just to make life a little easier for myself. I mean, looking back, I probably should have added a tiny bit more gunmetal colour or a little bit of black to make that a bit darker, but still not too bad. Okay, here what you can see is I wanted to try and go for sort of like a narrative feel to the back plate, where the extreme heat from the exhausts running this bad boy has started to flake the paint off, and as the paint flakes off from all the heat, then the rain gets to it, and then obviously that's where it can rust, because most paints, as you're aware, are to help prevent rust affecting the metal. So the surrounding exhaust pipes and the vents from the exhaust system I've tried to make look a little rusty, and you can see that when I'm doing this sort of thing, I don't worry too much about the thickness of the paint or even using my fingers to blend things in, for the simple reason, if you actually look at rust in the real world, it's not smooth. You'll notice lumps and bumps where it's caused. So unlike the rest of the model, where the actual application of the paint has to be super smooth with no imperfections, the imperfections actually in rust actually add to the look, in my opinion, of the model. So I'm really not worried too much about how the paint gets applied. I'm just, just trying to add randomness to the actual overall different colours. And here I've used a mixture of terracotta, blazing orange and sunburst yellow in combinations that I've got on the palette there, that I've just been literally mixing around just to form different gradients of the three colours there. Nothing too labour intensive. And you can see I'm holding the paintbrush really loosely on, and I'm just ever so slightly stippling little bits and bobs in, you know, a fairly random pattern. Okay, the paint's dry now, and I'm going to start adding the Tamia Weathering Kit. And yeah, this kit is brilliant. Whether you know you've been painting for years or you're just new to the hobby, this kit really is for everyone. It really is one of those one kit does all sort of jobbies. And what I'm doing now is knocking back some of the effects that I added with the rust, and also what it does, it adds like a really nice matte chalky look which you want with the rust really, and blending in some of those colours that weren't obviously you know blended in quite nicely with the paintbrush there. So it's just a case of, you know, me looking at an area that I think needs, you know, a bit more blending or colour. Now you'll notice as I'm starting to do this, I'm washing out some of the nice gradients in colour that I achieved with the actual paints, but as soon as I add some isopropanol to that in very, very small quantities to a paintbrush, I'll start actually seeing some of the underneath paint, and it mixes in, so it's a case of add a little bit, take a little bit away if you like. There I'm using soot from that same kit, just to the very tops of the stacks, and it's probably not picking it up on camera because it takes a little while the way I do it. You know, I want the colour to build up, you know, subtly over time. But yeah, that's just to add a little bit of the soot that's come out from the tops of the stacks there. Okay, here what I did is I went over the lights with white base colour, but the paint I'm using is actually a Model Air colour paint. It's Italian red. The reason I'm using the Model Air colours for the lights is because it's got sort of like a very, very thin, almost translucent look to it, and it also gives like a satin finish. It enables me to highlight the red very easily, adding colours to that, and also it leaves a tiny bit of the white behind because of the super thinness of the colour. So when I add the gloss varnish and a tiny little highlight to the top, for very minimal effort, the lights can look quite good. Again, here I'm making a custom wash mix, and this is using Model Air black, but you can use any black paint for this, to be quite honest. And I've used a hell of a lot of water and again glaze medium, and you can see I'm being very, very liberal with this, and it's very thin. And I'm just painting it all over the tracks. Okay, now to be honest, I haven't gone over the whole tank with this. This is just showing you what can be achieved very simply, and this is like rust effects. And on this paintbrush, I'm just using Gryphone Sepia neat straight out the tub, no thinning, no special techniques, literally dipping it in the pot and dragging it down. I mean, if you actually start thinning the Gryphone Sepia and apply it in separate layers, you'll get a more dynamic effect, if you like. But as you can see, I've not gone over the whole of the tank with it because of the time constraints. There's a few things that I'd like in future to go back over the tank to give that extra special finish, but as at this moment in time we'll say it's complete, and the job, and it's not turned out too bad. Here I'm just showing you with the airbrush, even painting the inside of the tank, you know, it's just so simple. It's one of those things that people you know, miss out because of the time constraints, but with an airbrush, you know, it adds a couple of more minutes to the you know, slight exaggeration, and another 20-30 minutes to the paint job, but still it's not something that affects your overall paint time. And obviously what I've done here is just showed you, you know, the different variations with magnetisation, which I strongly recommend people spending the extra hour or two in the modelling stage and buying the magnets, because, you know, when you've got a £60 tank, you know, having that ability to have it as a Stormlord and all the Shadow Sword variants, you know, it's really pretty much awesome. It's not only the money that you have to think about, it's the actual painting. I mean, if you was to buy a Shadow Sword and then buy another tank to make it a Stormlord, you're painting two separate tanks. That's twice the length of time to paint. So, you know, taking that time to magnetise it, I think it's definitely worth it in the end. I've managed to talk for 20 minutes, so yeah, I'm probably gonna shut up now and let you enjoy the very last few pictures. And thanks for watching, guys. I really do appreciate you watching this video, and if you've got any comments or like to add anything, please rate, subscribe, and leave a comment. You know, I always read all my comments, and I appreciate them all. So thanks for watching, guys, and I'll catch you on the next one.